Love Beyond Class. Brought to you by Bravehat.
Lagos, the city of hustlers and dreamers, of wealth and struggle, where the rich and the poor live side by side but never truly meet.
In Adegunle,
the streets were alive with the sound of traders calling out their wares, the aroma of frying akara mixing with exhaust fumes from danfos crawling through endless traffic. Inside a tiny dimly lit shop, Abeni's sewing machine hummed rhythmically, her fingers working their magic on a delicate lace fabric. She didn't look up when NEPA struck, throwing the shop into darkness. With a sigh, she reached for her candle.
This Lagos ain't even like Nigeria's perfect,
she muttered, adjusting the wig and continuing her work. Abeni was a seamstress, not a dreamer. She stitched wedding dresses for women who had the luxury of love. But she knew love was for the rich. On the other side of the city, in a crowded government school in Surulere, Tunde tapped the chalk against the blackboard, smiling as he faced his students. Tell me, what is more important than money? A small boy at the back raised his hand. Sir, 2 bags of rice. The class erupted in laughter and even Tunde chuckled. He shook his head, eyes twinkling.
Nawa for una,
he said. The answer is purpose. He had no riches to his name, but he had purpose. He had values. And somewhere deep inside, he hoped he would find a love that wasn't measured in naira and kobo. Far away, in the polished glass towers of Victoria Island, Ademola Williams adjusted his Rolex and stared out at the city skyline. A boardroom full of executives waited for him to speak, but he wasn't listening.
Ademola.
His father's deep voice snapped him back to reality.
You will marry Nia next month,
Chief Williams continued. Love doesn't build dynasties, son. Wealth does. Ademola sighed, fingers tightening around the crystal glass of his untouched whiskey. Another business deal, another obligation. His entire life had been carefully curated by his parents, from the schools he attended to the woman he would marry. He had everything except choice. The order came late in the evening, a wedding dress commission with a mysterious client and an enormous deposit. Abeni stared at the crisp naira notes in disbelief.
This one will pay my hands for 6 months,
she whispered.
The client prefers to remain anonymous,
the messenger told her, placing the package of expensive fabric on her work table. With trembling fingers, she touched the silk, her chest tightening. She had spent her entire life stitching dreams for other women. Was this her breakthrough? Or just another reminder that some dreams weren't meant for girls like her? 2 days later, Abeni was at Balogun Market, haggling over lace prices when she bumped into someone. A spool of golden thread slipped from her hands. Before she could react, a firm but gentle hand caught it midair.
Ah, seems like fate wants me to hold something of yours,
came a warm voice. She looked up, locking eyes with Tunde. For a moment, the market noise faded. Then, snapping out of the moment, she snatched the thread back.
Fate should mind its business,
she muttered, stuffing it into her bag before hurrying off. Tunde chuckled as he watched her disappear into the crowd. Interesting. A few days later, Abeni arrived at the delivery address. She expected a modest house. Instead, she found herself standing in front of a massive Lekki mansion.
This is not just any wedding. This is royalty.
She whispered, eyes wide. A uniformed butler ushered her inside. The air smelled of expensive cologne and imported wine. And then she saw him, Ademola Williams. The billionaire stood at the top of a sweeping staircase, his gaze locked onto hers. "You stitched this?" he asked, stepping closer, his voice smooth, curious. Abeni swallowed hard.
Yes, sir.
It was the first time in his life Ademola had met a woman who didn't immediately shrink before his wealth. And for some reason, he found himself wanting to know more. Tunde hadn't stopped thinking about Abeni, so when he saw her again in Yaba Market, he didn't waste time. "Would you let me take you for a walk?" he asked. Abeni raised an eyebrow.
A walk where?
"Somewhere you don't have to run," Tunde responded. They walked past suya stalls, roasted corn sellers, and children playing on the dusty roadside.
Abeni, I will go give you peace matter pass.
Tunde said softly. She smiled, but when she closed her eyes, she saw two faces, Tunde's and Ademola's. Her heart was caught between stability and the unknown. Then, the truth shattered everything. The wedding dress she had stitched was for Ademola's arranged marriage. Her hands trembled as she watched Nia try it on.
No, this can't be.
Meanwhile, at the wedding venue, Ademola's heart pounded. He looked at Nia, looked at the crowd. He felt nothing. Then, in front of 500 shocked guests, he removed his agbada. The talking drum stopped mid-beat. Auntie Ngozi clutched her chest.
Tesu, you don't japa.
Someone shouted. And Ademola walked away from the altar. The only person on his mind was Abeni. Abeni stood at a crossroads. With Tunde, she had stability, shared struggles, and a steady life. With Ademola, she had passion, risk, but an uncertain future.
A thread that refuses to bend will break.
Madame Kemi told her. She closed her eyes. She listened to her heart. That night, Abeni made that choice. She walked toward the man who loved her for who she was. Not her class, not her talent, just her.
And as they walk hand in hand to the Lagos night,
the city whispered of a love story that had defied class, expectation, and fate. Because in the end, true love is woven, not bought.